Welcome to part 2 of Stella the Owl tutorial. We're going to start off by weaving in the tail. Grab your yarn needle and flip your owl inside out. And take the tail and thread it through the yarn needle. I like to fold the yarn in half and kind of squish it onto the needle. It's a little bit easier and the yarn doesn't fray this way. And now pull as tight as you can on that tail to close the magic ring and make sure it's nice and tight. And now you're just going to take the needle and poke it through different holes in the bottom of the owl, weaving in and out, and that's going to weave in your tail and make sure the magic ring doesn't come undone. I like to weave the yarn around maybe 8 times to make sure it's really secure. Now we can flip the owl right side out and we're ready to keep working. So now we're on round 12 and we're going to start decreasing, which is going to make the cup shape go inwards. This is going to create the neck of the owl. Decreasing is the opposite of increasing, so instead of making more stitches in the round, we're going to be taking away stitches. So start off by making a single crochet and mark that stitch. And now we're going to make another single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to decrease. So you can see that each stitch has a back loop and a front loop. So that's the back loop and this is the front loop. For the decrease in amigurumi, we are going to be working in the front loop only. I accidentally undid part of my stitch here, so I'm just going to redo that. And then in the next available stitch, I'll be going into the front loop only. So pop your hook in the front loop only, that's the back loop, and the front loop is on my hook. This is what it looks like to go under both sides. This is not what you want. You want only the front loop. And then we're going to go into the next available stitch and put your hook in that front loop as well. So there's 2 different stitches on your hook, the front loops only. So yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And now yarn over again and pull through. And that is called an invisible decrease, and that's a method of decreasing an amigurumi. And now place a single crochet in the next available stitch. And another single crochet. And now we're going to do another decrease, so front loop only of the next stitch, and then go in the next stitch again, front loop only, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through 2, single crochet, decrease, so front loop only of the next stitch, front loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So repeat this pattern around the whole circle, making 2 single crochets and a decrease. You'll know if you ended the round correctly if you end on a decrease. This is going to take the round from 32 stitches back to 24 stitches. So that's the end of round 12, and you can see here the cup is starting to go inwards. So for the next round, round 13, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and decrease and repeating that all the way around the circle. So start off by making a single crochet and mark that stitch. And now in the next 2 stitches, we're going to be making a decrease. So front loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then single crochet. And then a decrease, and then single crochet, decrease, single crochet. Repeat this around the circle and you're going to end up with 16 stitches by the end of the round. And again, you're going to know if you completed the round correctly if you end on a decrease. Alright, so now our owl has a neck and we are going to increase on the next round to make its head. So insert your hook, remove your stitch marker, and place a single crochet in the next available stitch. And then mark that stitch. Now we're going to be making an increase, so 2 single crochets in the same stitch. As you can see, I'm working 2 single crochets in that same stitch here, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then increase in the next, so that's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Repeat this pattern around the circle until you get back to the stitch marker. You'll know if you ended this round correctly if you end on an increase. So as you can see here, we're starting to go back outwards with our increase. For round 15, we're going to be doing 2 single crochet increase 8 times around the circle. So single crochet in the next available stitch, and then mark that stitch. And then single crochet in the next available stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to make an increase. Single crochets in the next stitch. That's 2. And then single crochet in the next, single crochet in the next, and then another increase. And repeat this pattern all the way around the circle until you get back to the stitch marker, and we're going to end up with 32 stitches. So now we've completed all of the increases of the owl. So for the next 10 rounds, we're going to be making 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So once you've taken out your stitch marker, you can make your first single crochet of the round and then mark that stitch. And then continue on single crocheting until you get back to the stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and finish the last 9 rounds of the owl off camera, but again, all you're doing is placing a single crochet in each stitch around until you reach 10 rounds. Don't forget to move your stitch marker at the end of each round, and I will see you back once we've completed the owl. Now that we've completed all of the rounds, it's time to fasten off. So this is what your owl should look like. And we're going to cut the yarn. So leave a tail about 12 to 15 inches long. The longer the better if you're worried about it. And then pop your hook back in there. And in the next available stitch, we are going to pull the yarn through and then pull it immediately through the loop on our hook, and that's a slip stitch. And that's going to fasten off our work. So just pull the yarn right through and tighten it, and that secures the end in place. And now it's time to add the owl's face on. So grab the 2 white circles that are in your kit and take one of your safety eyes. The safety eyes have backings and a front part. Just don't put the backings on quite yet. So grab the white part, and it's got a hole in it, so grab your safety eye and poke it through that little hole. Do that for both of them. And now we're going to pop those onto the head of the owl. So I like to do it a little bit higher than halfway up the head. And just poke it through one of the stitches. And then you can adjust it and kind of play with the eye placement and see where you like them to be. So just make sure you put the eyes on the same row so that they're not wonky, unless you would like a wonky-eyed owl. So I think that placement is pretty good. I'm gonna go with that, and then I'm just gonna pop the backings on the eyes. Just for reference, I placed my eyes 6 rows down from the top of the head. So now you can grab the backing for the eye and just pop it on there. And you'll know it's in place when it goes down 2 rings of the black piece. So it's just a snap-on. And there we have the eyes on. And now we're gonna make the beak. So take the yellow piece of yarn that's in your kit and thread it through your yarn needle. So now you're gonna pick where you want the beak to go. I like to start it a tiny bit behind the felt. And then just kind of pick out which holes you're gonna go through. Just make sure they are even between the eyes here. So probably that one and that one. So go in through one of those holes and then go in between the center of the eyes a few rows down, about 3 rows down, and pop it out the middle there. And then go back into the very first hole that you went into. And then you're going to make it so that your needle comes out the other side of the beak. And then you're going to go back into the bottom part of the first part of the beak that we went into. And there you have a V. And that makes his little beak. So now you can cut the yarn. And then take the other ends of the beak and poke them through your yarn needle. And then pop those ends back into the hole that they're coming out of. And now we're going to flip the owl over and tie those 4 ends together into a knot. I like to double or triple knot this part, and that's just going to secure the beak in place and make sure it doesn't come undone. You can trim that bit if you'd like. And now it's time to stuff the owl. So grab your stuffing, and I like to kind of break it up to make it a little fluffier. And then you're just going to shape out the bottom part of the owl with the stuffing. So make sure you kind of spread it around with your fingers and make sure the body's filled out really nicely. You want to stuff your owl firmly, but not so firm that the stuffing is showing through the holes. And I like to stuff the head pretty lightly, not super light, but not very full. And to close the head, we're just going to whip stitch across, so make sure that it's not stuffed so much that you can't press the ends of the head together. So you can thread your yarn needle once you're done stuffing the owl, and press the ends of the head together like this, kind of sandwich them together, and now we're going to whip stitch across the top. So basically just go through each side of the head with your yarn needle and pull it through, and then go back like that and do it again. And make sure you're going through every single stitch across the head when you're doing this. And just continue down the head to make sure it's nice and secure. I'm just going to pause and add a little bit more stuffing to the head. And then just carry on whip stitching. Make sure you go through the very last stitches of the head. And then once you're done that, we're going to weave in the end. So you're just going to poke your needle back down the head and weave it in and out of a few stitches a few times to make sure that the end is nice and secure and it's not going to get unraveled. And then you can cut that off. And now the owl is almost complete. We just need the wings, and to shape out the head, you just kind of press down and then pinch the ends together and it creates these little horns. So in part 3, I'm going to show you how to make the wings of the owl, and then we are going to be all done. See you there!